Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Doug from the second time around. And today's video is going to be on Grand Seiko, a Japanese company. I told you in my Omega video that I'm an Omega fanboy, but I'm also a huge Grand Seiko fanboy. And the history of Grand Seiko, it started in 1960, but it came from the Seiko Watch Company, which, as far as I may understand, it may be the largest watch manufacturer in the world. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to read here about Seiko's history. It started in 1881, and it was started with Kintaro. Let me get my glasses on. So, hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Doug with the second time around, and thank you for watching this channel. Today's video is going to be on Grand Seiko and my collection. I had mentioned in my Omega collection video that I'm an Omega fanboy, but I'm also a huge Grand Seiko fanboy. Grand Seiko is a Japanese company of high-end watches that actually rivals some of the top Swiss companies. And they're handmade. They've got this amazing polishing that they do. And a lot of their watches are inspired by nature. And you'll see it. I'm going to have two different videos. One is my what I call normal Grand Seikos, and the other one is the one that I really like collecting, which is what I call the panel dial. And Grand Seiko, it has a good history, but I'm going to read here about Seiko's history when it started. Excuse me, put on my reading glasses. So Seiko began in 1881 by the man of Kintaro Hattori in Tokyo, and he started the Seikosa factory after he started a watch store. The factory was built in 1892, producing clocks and then Japan's first wristwatch. So they first came out with the Seiko branded watch in 1924. And they launched Grand Seiko in 1960, and also they own Creedor, or Credor, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's another high-end Japanese brand. But again, Seiko has done so much. Their dive watches are some of the most popular in the world. And they actually were the inventors of the quartz watch. And honestly, the quartz watch almost put Switzerland out of business. A lot of companies folded because they didn't get involved in quartz. But a lot of them came back once the mechanical watches came back into fashion. So when it comes to Grand Seiko, again, they take a lot of their inspiration from nature, whether it be the forest, the mountains, the different water. That's what they're inspired by. But I will also tell you that Grand Seiko is also kind of full of shit. So they made a really popular watch called the White Birch, and it was in their high beat, which is a mechanical watch. And then they turned around and they made a spring drive. And spring drive is one of the most accurate watch movements out there. And it's the same dial. It's just a spring drive. Then they turned around and they made the Night Birch, which was a black dial. Again, I believe it's a spring drive. Then they came out with the Green Birch, a high beat. Well, I end the original high beat White Birch and the Green Birch, which you'll see in the video. And I was looking at buying a Night Birch when all of a sudden they announced they've got a Blue Birch. When have you ever seen a birch tree that was blue? So they come out with some amazing dials, but they have no creativity in just coming out with different ones. They just change the color of the dial. And you'll see that in what I call the panel dials that I collect. So I found the first ones, and I'll talk more about that, but then they started releasing all these limited editions around the world into certain markets, like North American market or the Asian market, and then they didn't cross over to the other markets. And some of them are just really close in color, but that's all they did. They changed the colors of the dials and gave it a different name inspired by a different part of nature. But, you know, I fell for it, especially since they're limited editions. The only one I don't have for the panel dials that I can find, it's a dark blue dial and it's all gold. And they want a whole lot of money, even for pre-owned. So I'm going to hold off on that. And then they have a couple of GMTs where they copied the same red dial as their Autumn. And then they came out with a white dial. But it's just too busy of dials for me. I like clean dials. So anyways, let me start. I'm going to show you the part one of my, what I call the normal Grand Seiko dials. And then I'll have a second video showing the panel dials. Folks, you take care of yourselves. Grand Seiko white birch, and this is the 005 model. They came out with several other white birches and just didn't make sense to me. But it's one of the most beautiful watches that Grand Seiko has. And the second hands are really deep blue in color. The Altura Valley, and this is a spring drive. This is the green birch. They made this white dial called the white birch, a black dial, night birch, the green birch, and then they suddenly came out with a blue version, and they call it, of course, the blue birch. The blue peacock, and this was a limited edition to North America, and I believe only about 500 of these were made. And this is a high beat. And there's little dimples there on the dial.